And the pledge.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first up, we will accept the CSE recommendations. Thanks, Hope. Thanks, Ray. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next up, bunches of minutes this time. A busy time here. So first up, the regular meeting on May 16th. Are there any questions, comments, agenda?
I'll move to approve.
Thanks, Greg. Is there a second? Thanks, Nate. All those in favor?
Okay, we have 4 hours in.
Okay. Then we have, then we have the annual vote from May 21st. Motion to approve those minutes. Thanks, Nate. Is there a second? Second. Take a pick. All those in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
Then we had a special meeting in order to move the capital project forward and get nice set, all the signatures and all the things they needed. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the
I
special
will
meeting?
move.
Is Ray, is there a second? Nate, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then we have treasurer's report. I don't think it's ever not a busy time.
It's never a busy time.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? If none, is there a motion to? Oh,
Second.
thanks, Greg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, and appropriation transfer during the same bundle. Is there a motion to approve those? Nate, in a second.
I'll second.
Greg, all those in favor? And I vote. Now we're on to the warrants. Thank you, Chris, for those answers. That was very helpful. Are there any questions on the general fund warrant A26?
Page 3, mileage payment to an individual. Is that, we're playing catch up with that? Is that-
Yes.
Okay, because I think we had talked about something like this eons ago.
We had a different, similar situation.
Yeah,
Someone had it submitted for a number of months.
And there's one at the top above that, which is more current. So it
Yes,
looks
and
like-
we'll see another one. There will be at least one more for this well through June. And through June.
Yeah.
So there'll be one per one.
Is that going to be the normal procedure for this person as long as this arrangement?
We're working on a transition as we speak. So we're hoping with the summer programming we'll take that over. That we'll be able to, we're gonna try.
Okay. Maybe a scooter?
What's that?
Maybe a scooter?
Probably not.
Yeah. They burn a lot more calories. But also be in danger potentially. Any other questions on the general?
I always enjoy seeing this time of the year, the reimbursements for the meditate. It reminds me that some of those people are still out there and they're even older than I am. The sad thing is I remember most of them.
So
I think that was all I had.
we can move on to federal funds. And then we'll lunch 11. And then capital funds 11.
Is this the very last payment we're gonna see for the 100K project from last year?
So that 100K project from last year,
Yeah, 23,
so
24.
that's not on, which one are we looking at?
The capital.
Yeah, it was under cap.
These are the 23-24 100K capital outlay project checks, so
Yeah.
this is this year's project.
Oh, that's right, the current stuff.
We have paid out the,
We're done with the.
we're done with, yep,
So-
yep, yeah, that's it. Yes, so anything you see now is the 23-24 capital outlay project.
I thought there was a retention check left out there.
There was, and it's been distributed.
Now that the sales are.
Okay,
But that,
yeah, I just didn't, because I remember, I thought it was last month.
I think it was last-
printed and then voided.
it was printed earlier in the year, and then it was voided and reissued in April, so it was on
Okay.
April front.
Cool. Phew, closed out.
Closed out.
Is there a motion to approve all 4 of those warrants? Thanks, Nate. Is there a second? Thanks, Ray. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Right. Hear somebody else talk. So this is recognition of visitors. There's a chance now, and then there's a chance at the end of the agenda. I guess we can go in order. We can go down the line.
All right, hi, me, Jessica Spasio, representing Candor CDS BOE. So just going over some things that we went up to. We ordered senior yard signs for all the seniors. They're here in the building, so hopefully they'll be out. Then we want to, hopefully they'll be displayed before graduation and those mentors. They look pretty nice. John Hancock Day was on June 7th. That was a great success. So we came in, we brought in the phone party, we brought in laser tag on the field, and we had some escape rooms from the building, or one of the buildings. We were told by the dean of students it's the best attendance in 10 years. So. And there was a lot of kids outside that came for the day. And yeah, happy about that. Today was the first farmers market. The PTA has been there handing out cotton candy for free to visitors to try to get some students to stuff. I can't tell myself that candy maker. Tomorrow's another big day. We have the 6th grade moving up ceremony. That's done by the school, but PTA is bringing in an ice cream truck to give free ice cream for the kids. And we also just bring in a few decorations. And for the pre-K graduation, we need these summer buckets. Tail with like some book for summer stage. Along with a book. June 24th, Monday is field day. We'll be having some volunteers there. We provided the funding for all the bounce houses as well as some other. Next week there's a basketball camp happening here at the school. We're providing Gatorade and pizza for the camp. Our monthly meetings will resume on August 20th. We're kind of taking a break next month, and then we're going to continue. We meet usually the Tuesday before the board. Over the summer, we are hoping to have a movie night. Looking at one in August, and hoping to combine that with school by giveaway like we did last year. And then the farmers market before school starts will be August 29th, and we're partnering with the farmers market to bring in
That's amazing. Thank you all do. So there's extra folks here tonight, so just kind of some, she's always here. She always delivers a report where it's like, do you sleep? But just some general guidelines. So I don't know why you
All the rest of us are here for supporting Sophia. So
Cool.
she has a presentation she'd like to present you.
excellent. So, please address the board, right? Rather than, you might be more familiar with some of them. No specific personnel mentioned. And I don't know if you have questions for us. We might not have answers tonight, but we were absolutely excited that you all have come out tonight, and we're happy to listen to what you have to say.
Okay, so hi, I'm Sophia. I'm here to talk to you guys about advanced classes for middle schoolers. At Candor School, students in 7th and 8th grade need more advanced courses to level the academic playing field with other schools, especially in core subjects such as math. These classes are needed to create equal academic opportunities with other schools. In Tioga's Middle School, 7th grade offers advanced math. At Candor, we don't. In 8th grade, they offer Algebra 1. This gives other schools unfair advantages over us. My father was in middle school in 1983, and he had more educational opportunities than we do now. In Waverly, they give 7th graders the chance to learn 7th and 8th grade curriculum in 1 year. They offer this for history, math, and science. In Spencer, they offer advanced math for 7th graders and advanced science. For 8th graders, they have another science class and algebra regions. Finally, in Owego, they have advanced bio and algebra 1 offered to 8th graders. At Candor, we had a math course, but we don't have it this year. This is due to teachers finding that kids who take the class simultaneously with kids who take the class simultaneously with one at their grade level, if that makes sense, they do better on tests and such. However, we don't have that for 8th grade this year, and I found that really unfair. Sorry, just a second. There will be an advanced science class this year because there are enough kids that meet the criteria. And I'm sorry, I'm getting really lost.
You're doing great.
You're doing great. Take a deep breath. Back to the math thing. And additionally, if students are having a problem because they're not learning enough of what they need to know in order to advance, they can switch days in each class. Like, for example, on days 1, 3, 5, 8th graders would be in Ms. Quinlan's class. Then 2, 4, 6, they'd take Algebra 1 with Ms. White. And in 7th grade, we also don't have any advanced classes. And I think this could also help solve the problem with 8th grade, because, especially in math, because if they taught 7th graders 8th grade curriculum, then they'd already know all they need to know leading up to 8th grade. In 8th grade, if a kid does band and chorus, they don't have any study halls, so they have to give up one of their music electives in order to take the advanced math course, if we had one. So if they taught that in 7th grade, when kids don't have to take health, so they have a free period, then they wouldn't have to do that. Thank you for, oh wait, I'm not done, I'm sorry, I'm getting really confused, I promise I know what I'm doing. I believe. And in order to learn what they'd be missing in Ms. Maxwell's class, if they just skipped that altogether and did Ms. Quinlan's class in 7th grade, Mr. Young could assign them a Delta Math to do over the summer. He did it with us last year, just so we'd be prepared for 7th and 8th grade. Granted, that was optional, but if the kid chose to take Ms. Quinlan's class in 7th grade, then it'd be mandatory in order to see what they know, and then they can go from there. Thank you for listening to a student's point of view on this issue. I hope you take my perspective into consideration.
I like that you actually, you explained your problem, but you had some solutions. You thought it through, so thank you.
So you're asking for more math?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
First, she wasn't a plant. I don't know. I didn't ask her to do that. But I have a couple questions if it's okay.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Mr. Raymond about this year?
So, the two teachers I asked for help, I asked my science teacher, I talked to Ms. Collier about like the scheduling and stuff.
Good.
And I asked Mr. Benjamin for help because I know he's like big on pushing for more opportunities for kids. And I meant to talk to Mr. Amon before the end of the school, I just didn't get a chance
Didn't get
to,
to it.
otherwise I definitely would.
Well, I know you would. So my question is, can I be part of that conversation? Can we set one up with Mr.
Yeah.
Raymond? And can I get a copy of what you just read?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I had the same question with Mr. Amon is the one who could bless you. We're gonna start to,
So I definitely did mean to set up a meeting with him, I just never had the time to.
I understand.
Oh, actually, here, you can have this.
Okay, that one, yeah, no.
I have it in Google Docs.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That was well written and well thought out. I hope we can make some of those things happen. It might take some time. Master schedules are tricky. Did you have comments? Okay. Awesome. You guys are free to stick around if you want, or if you, I mean, it's cooler in here than outside. But if you want to run away, that's okay too. Your choice.
That's so much greater.
I was in 7th grade this year, I'm going into 8th grade next year. I'm 13, by the way.
You handled yourself very well out there from a public speaking point of view. You locked your place, but it didn't throw you. A lot of adults who would have panicked and thrown their papers down and run out of the room.
No, I definitely could have done better on that. I do intend on taking Ms. Ressner's public.
Just takes practice. And having the courage to do it the first time.
Parents did a good job.
If I could add a side note to her speech, and completely uninformed and uneducated as far as the numbers or the statistics. Like, I don't know. I have a very special daughter. I actually have 3 very special daughters. They love school. They get bored in summer vacation. They can't wait to get back to school. They can't wait to have their brains stimulated. I know all kids are not that way. Okay. That being said, I don't know the statistics on how many kids are above average at the school, how many, just make it by, how many are below average. So I don't know what kind of scope there is for that kind of extra classes here, or if it's budgetary restrictions or whatnot. But all I know is you have a future valedictorian here that loves her school, loves her teachers, loves her friends here. And I really hope you guys can come to some kind of conclusion where something works out where she can get some more advanced classes and think better prepared to go off to college and be future president or something. I just asked you to put some earnest and consideration into it.
Absolutely.
Find some happy middle ground with her.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's as a small school, it is, some of the classes, once you get into high school, are geared at the top 10%, right? And that could be 5 kids. So that does get tricky. But we're looking at, they are looking at lots of different options, including partnering with neighbor schools to get to those numbers. There's some transportation complexities there, but they're making it work. Or offering a class every other year could be a possibility, so that maybe like you would take a class with juniors and seniors together, right? Or whatever. And then a huge, we'll talk about it later when we talk about the board retirements, but the College Now program that they have is a huge leg up. There's the Grace Valedictorian or Salutatorian?
Salute.
She is. So Grace is salutatorian, but she's going to get her associate's degree. She has her associate's degree now.
And that starts what, junior and senior year that they can do the college courses, or is that something?
They can speak more to that.
I actually think there might be one class that starts as a sophomore, but then most of them are junior and senior. But we have students graduating anywhere from, 3 credits to a full associate's. And I think Grace is our 3rd or 4th graduate that has graduated with an associate's from TC3 before high school.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good to see those things, when I was in 8th grade, New York State just came out with all kids had to take developmental reading. I had a college level reading level. My teacher, Mrs. McLean, her husband was the dean of SUNY. And she recognized me and another student, but the best she could do was we didn't have to attend her class. She sent us to the library every day to read, That was a very long ancient time ago, but things have progressed in today's world. But I always thought that was kind of a waste of my time. Like, I too would have preferred to had my brain racked, be pushed for more knowledge. I tell Sophia all the time, knowledge is power. That's something nobody can ever take away from you. Learn all you can, read all you can, be a good teacher. She listens to everything they say. And then she's an excellent student. All of her teachers would attest to that. But yeah, again, I don't know pros and cons of why that isn't now, or that could get developed a little more. And I get AP classes later in high school, but she really wants to be stimulated now. So it can become a possibility that would be an opportunity for her, any of the other students that would latch on to that.
I've definitely noticed that Candor has a bunch of great classes for like 10th grade on up, but middle school, it seems like a lot of them have just been like going away and fizzling out. Cause I know like I have a lot of friends in 10th grade from doing the musical, and all of them seem like very smart. And from what I've heard, you have a lot of great programs for their grade level, just not so much 8th, sort of 9th grade, but mostly 8th grade to on down.
Thank you for being an advocate. That's a very important voice. Okay. Thank you, all of you, for showing up, and I'm certain you have all taken note.
That's my argument. Thank you. Yeah.
Great job.
All right. Oh, do you have words, Mr. Farland?
I do, but I'll save it for the end. It was a really nice discussion. I don't want to distract from conversation, so I'll save it.
All right, so we will plug through. The consent agenda is next up. Were there any items from the consent agenda that's? Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Hearing none, other questions on any of the consent agenda items?
Just a general question. I realize it's the time of the year and the funding that we got from the federal government is petering out. We have a lot of resignations. Is that part of the rationale? Money's going away? Are we just rebalancing the workforce?
We're rebalancing the workforce. It's not that money is going away. So great question. There was one reduction to a half-time position where someone chose to retire based on there were only 3 classes needed that certified for. The retirements, one of our resignations has a fiance a little closer to New York City, took a job there. But no, it does not have to do with the budget. But it was a reorganization. I'm not sure, did I answer the question you were asking, or did I misunderstand?
No, it just seems, I know that this time of year and later in the summer before the new school year
Yeah.
starts, we go through this personnel shuffle.
Yeah. That is a time where teachers and other school personnel tend to change their career paths, maybe go to another location.
And teachers tend to get out this time of year, which allows us a little more search time for a replacement. Have we gotten rid of any teaching positions?
The one I just mentioned.
Okay. And the rest of it is just meeting a lot of teacher aides, bus drivers, shifting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
They leave through one door and they come in through another. Yes,
I am super curious. I think many people are going to be super curious about Mr. Burns. Can we have like a Mr. Burns, meet Mr. Burns?
We can talk about that, but it would have to be an executive session. But I think it's a good.
That's a very exciting, it's very exciting to see that we found somebody like,
yeah,
You know.
that was my note.
yeah.
Because there was no little thumbnail biography or anything like we sometimes see. Experience.
Most of our appointments don't get so much attention. It's just that we.
Yeah. There's a lot of focus on that,
Yes.
that position though.
But we should commend the administration for the great work that they've done in getting so many of these appointments taken care of well in advance of next school year. You've done a lot of legwork over the last few months, and it's appreciated that you're making sure that we have great qualified folks in place to teach our kids.
So, if there are no other questions or comments on consent agenda, is there a motion to approve it? Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Greg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we are to reports from administrators. We have wage report. And peace report, so we're gonna move down the line here. And math report. And we're to Mrs. Carlin.
Hello. So, in my report, I just wrapped up the spring. It was a rainy spring. We canceled a lot of games and rescheduled a lot of games, a lot. Then we tried doing our sports celebration. We're having the senior awards and the spring awards all on the same night. And there's a valve that had a leak, so it let off this gas smell. So we had to cancel that and give the cake away, and it was a good time. But I was just used to rescheduling, so I figured I'd just keep with it. But so anyways, we came back, we were able to do the awards, which I listed on the bottom. And each of the spring teams did their own individual celebration with their teams. Last Friday, I was at the ESPN end of the year awards. So throughout the year, they pick a student athlete or a scholar athlete of the week for various sports. And we've had 4, so I had those listed. Stephen Novak for soccer, Phoebe Swartz for volleyball, Caitlin Floyd for bowling, and Nicholas Soper for basketball. And then Cody Floyd was recognized last week as the boys bowling scholar athlete of the year. And they did it at Ithaca High School in the auditorium, which was a nice ceremony. So that we did that. I gave you all the scholar athlete teams, and remember that 75% of the team has a 90% or better.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we have quite a list.
Great.
It's pretty impressive. And then we also recognized Tim Taylor, who at the time thought he was retiring, and then his boss, the day that we were celebrating him, which still obviously he deserved very much so, but talked him into coming back halftime. So they're negotiating, but we hope that we're gonna have a release for part-time next year. And then the only thing I wanted to put on your radar for the fall, practices start for most everybody on the 26th of August, which is really late. So the state does a 7-year schedule, and this year this happens to be it's late. They knew it in advance, but this is where we're at. So teams are scrambling because their typical scrimmage time, that sort of thing, they aren't going to be able to get in, or it's going to be after school. We're used to having a day to do it, whatever. So Labor Day could come up as a needed practice day to get in enough for. So just heads up that could come about. Football does start the 19th because they need 10 practices in before their first game. So they get to start the 19th. Everybody else starts week 6. We're already looking for fall.
And then modified in 1 week or 2 weeks after.
No, modified will start the 26th of fall.
As well.
So they have the last couple of years, they started on the same day. So football will be the 26th, but everybody else, modified football. Varsity football will be the only one that starts on the 19th.
I hope you get some quiet time over the summer, not chasing all over section 4.
And then for transportation, just trying to wrap up the year, and I mean, they're still transporting the elementary students. And then we're winding up for all the summer. So that'll be starting here right after the 4th. So, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Nichols.
All right, so I just gave another update on the Title Fund Parent and Family Engagement Survey that was posted to the website, letting you guys know where we're at with that. Our next step will be to analyze the feedback that we've received. I have not checked it this week to see if we haven't shut it down yet. We're gonna shut it down at the end of the month. But going over that with the admin team, with the principals especially. But it really is, the intent is, how do we engage with our families, and how do families engage with us, just to get feedback and ideas, and to see how do the suggestions align with our strategic plan, which we're in the process of finalizing that too. Any questions about that? About this? And then I listed all of the topics that were submitted for summer curriculum work. I obviously didn't go into detail. It's really just kind of the title. So if there are any questions that you have about any of the work, I'm happy to answer those questions. They did have to, in their proposal, they had to explain if it was a new course, if it was reviewing the standards and the pacing guides, if there happened to be a new assessment from the state or new standards or updates to the standards, if they had to do that kind of work. And right now, given the proposals we had, it didn't exceed the budget, the amount of money that we had through the leftover ARP and ESSA funds. So we did have to go back to everybody and just say, can you look at your proposal? Can you give a minimum? We'd like to be able to support all of them, but the only way we can is if people are willing to cut back on the hours that they get requested. And we had talked with Brent and Wayne and Keith, if we can use our 2 early release days next year for continued curriculum work, where they can start it this year and maybe get it over the summer and give an overview for next school year and really focus more on the first 10 weeks of school. If they know, then they have a day in November and a day in March, I think is the other day, where they could continue that work, but it would really be creating that ongoing action plan. So I'm still calculating numbers to see if we've gotten below the limit. And we want to keep a pot of money set aside for our new teachers that are coming in new to the district that need time to look at their curriculum. If the middle school modules that we're trying to create in that master schedule, those teachers might need some extra time.
Are there any topics that are close enough that teachers could join forces and mostly share about funny or?
Yeah, and that's what they've done. Special ed teachers try to just weave into one of the grade levels or departments. And like Spanish, it's a department effort, so it's not individual teachers. Same with art, Spanish, the grade levels, the departments. But even down to, I mean, here's just an example, the math department. In the junior, senior high, I initially asked for funding for all 4 of their teachers, but then they realized one teacher won't be teaching that algebra class, so they don't need her there that day. So everybody's just been really good about, okay, how can we?
So does the bulk of the expense lie with teacher time versus content delivery?
What do you mean?
So is the bulk of the cost for the remaining pot paying the teachers for their time to engage in the work
Yes,
versus facilitators or training platforms?
Oh, yeah. Yep, the only, we have Eureka Squared, which would be a training, but Pete was already out ahead of that, and he and Chris worked on, that'll go through BOCES COSER, so we'll have to pay for it up front, but then we'll get that reimbursement next year. So Eureka Squared, the Reading League, it's the same thing. The TST BOCES is sponsoring a day with the Reading League so that any of the local schools can run all of that work that we'll do next year through the COSER. So again, we'll have to pay for any new teachers to go to that one day. Other than outside trainers, even TCIS, I mean, that's where our trainers are in-house, so we have to pay them. Otherwise, yeah, it's all, oh, and the TC3 dual enrollment training, that's a requirement. I think Wayne gave me, I think there's 13 or 15 teachers that teach the College Now classes that have to go through TC3's required training, and it's a 6-hour training, so we have to pay the teachers to go there. Otherwise, I think all of the other hours it's that direct payment to the teachers for the work they're doing. And the Curriculum Council has been a part of the planning, which is new. Like, we've never had that group to go through, and they helped with reviewing the list of proposals, talking about how to prioritize, brainstorming. We want to fund, like, this is a good problem to have. We have teachers wanting to come together and do good work. And we want to support all of them. And it came out of the teacher curriculum council group that they suggested, could we use our mistakes and say, don't worry about getting all of a year. And they said that's not even practical to think that you can do a full year of work in 3 days anyway. So can we commit to those 2 days and truly have a real curriculum plan throughout the school year? Anything else? And we're looking at the pre-K ELA curriculum, which we have to do. And also looking at the elementary ELA curriculum, the reading program that we currently use to review compared to other programs. Well, we're taking what we've learned from the Reading League and the new reports that they presented. Beginning of April. Just to see how well does our program align to the science, and they're helping us because they're giving us reports. They're reviewing curriculum as well. They just didn't review ours, so our teachers are going because we want to make sure it's newfound knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. We've learned a lot about the science of reading, and we want to make sure that we're using materials that support that. Special education, that was just an update. We do still have one unfilled special ed position at elementary levels. We'll keep working. just a heads up, there will be CSE and CPSE meetings to approve at the July reorg meeting. I will try to get them to you maybe even next week because I already have about 15 pages. So I asked Fred the other day, or Kat, I don't want to email them 15 pages of the report on Monday with the meeting on Thursday, and that's what we talked about. Maybe hold off till reorg, and that gives, I can get all of that to you, but it's just wrapping up all the annual reviews.
We appreciate you.
Well, trust me, Monday I was frantic, well, it was last Friday, I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way, I got you the 23, 24, but there's no way 24, 25, and then Amanda, I said, how many pages is it? It's 15 right now. All right, well.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Mhm. And then next year, the district priorities, hopefully those will be an update every month from the strategic plan. Something to look forward to.
This is, said earlier, there's no time that we're not busy in the business office, but this is the busiest. I just wanted to, I know you already put them in the consent agenda and had those, resolutions, but I just wanted to kind of give a quick overview. We did put 4, resolutions to fund reserves with whatever, surplus we might have. So it's not been completely calculated. Our auditors will be here in mid-July and they'll tell us with what we have. You have to authorize before the end of June, before June 30th, that we can move that to those reserves. So our priorities would be first, the health insurance reserve, the employees retirement, reserve after that, the, employee benefit, reserve after that, and then anything, if there was surplus beyond that, we'd go into the capital. Some of them have limitations as to the dollar amount or the annual, amount that can go into those reserves. That's why we set those, for protective and resolutions that keeps us in line with the requirements for 4% fund balance and any surplus that we have, can go into those reserves. Our auditors were here Monday and Tuesday, to do some preliminary work. They'll be back in about 3 weeks to do the remainder of the audit. We're working on grants again. We'll be working on the special ed, grants. We don't have the allocations, or we do have the allocations for the special ed grants and the UPK grant title yet. But that application will be open up in the portal real soon. So moving right along. Thank you. And Mr. Sutton.
So this is a great time to be working in school. There's so many celebrations. I want to start by thanking our PTSA for making this year's celebration, all of them, or many of them, that much more special. I also heard, I didn't know you were going to speak about it, about John Hancock Day being the best ever. And I heard it from some faculty, I heard it from students, and I saw just a glimpse of it because I had a lot of work that day, but a glimpse of it myself. And again, I appreciate that. And then I look back and then I had to ask for a list because I knew I wasn't remembering everything at all the things our PTSA has done for us. And so I put down for you just what they covered in May. And it's just a good sampling. We multiply that times easily 10, maybe 11 months. They're very busy. I encourage anybody who's not already involved to get involved. You won't be asked to do everything that's there. And I'm talking to the board, but I'm hoping the studio audience is listening and that the audience at home is listening. Because they're a fun group and you can just do one thing here or one thing there and that's it. No one has to do everything, but we would like to see more membership. They've been fantastic for our students and our school. So thank you. And why I'm thanking people for making, again, students first, but I want to give some recognition to our faculty and staff and volunteers in the performing arts and fine arts department, because in the spring, as we do mid-year, we get celebrations and performances. They were wonderful. The chorus and band, the art shows at both buildings were really spectacular. And, you know, there's more to come. There's sports awards, and we have our graduation coming up next Friday. And I know some students were disappointed because I'm glad they came and told me, and I wanted to display that it's not going to be outside. But if we have a day like today, they'll be thankful that it's inside. It will be much cooler. And- which kind of leads me to, I think, well, I'll jump to the end, to the capital project. The main reason that it won't be outside, it makes me feel so good to see the construction actually started. So if you take a look in our backyard, the track has already been ripped up. The old pavement underneath the rubberized track has been milled and is ready to go down for that mile loop, or our share of the mile loop, which will go all along the creek behind our property. Things are back on schedule. This year's capital project is well underway. They took the old septic out, and I took a look at that. We'll have a new one in before the end of the year, as it needs to be. But I ran a lot by quick. Any questions, or I'm ready? My report's kind of long this month, so I'm ready to keep rolling. Okay, so there's some things that a lot of people should be aware of that are coming out of Albany. You all have already heard about the state's well, the Blue Ribbon Commission and their recommendation to change and have different pathways. One towards graduation, where they go from a few different diplomas to one diploma, but different ways to show that you've earned that one diploma. And then in addition to that, have certificates like the seal of biliteracy added to individuals' diplomas. So their report is out. It's gone to the Board of Regents. They're in a review period. I imagine it's going to, or I've been told it will probably be in next November, where it will go to the Board of Regents again. We won't really see a change until maybe 2026. That would be the quickest, but it's coming, and from my perspective, it's really good stuff. It really is providing more access to our students and in more ways for them to pursue their passions and still earn that high school diploma and prepare for what's ever next in their life. Keep your eye on for more on that. Another thing, I don't think it will go anywhere, but I did get some, people voicing concern that New York State has proposed an amendment to the physical education regulations relating to athletic competition. In a nutshell, they're proposing that there is no consideration of gender, just tryouts for high school sports. And why I know it's well intentioned, I think there needs to be more thought and discussion about it. My concern and the concern of many other people, it's going to set the advances that our athletic girls made through Title IX. It will set it back. If anybody can now try out for any soccer team we offer, and we can only make the determination based on the tryouts and their performance, then you may have males who identify as male who maybe either didn't want to play on a football or a different team, trying out because they can, and that's going to be less seats for really competitive female athletes. We won't change anything. If an athlete, regardless of gender or even age, can compete up, they'd still be able to. We want them to. If the level's higher with the boys sport, and someone wants to compete there because they're ready, the issue comes when, okay, you can now compete on a team that was originally designed to give equal opportunity to hardworking, good athletes, but maybe because of their gender, typically don't perform at the same level as a boys. I'm trying to say this as clearly but respectfully as I can. It's just, it could be problematic. They're also recommending getting away with some of the medical scaling that helps to make that determination. and why, I don't know, I've never gone through it. I've heard that it is kind of obsolete and maybe should change. To go to nothing would be problematic again, because you know, 210-pound boy who his main sport may be football in the fall, could then play girls flag football in the spring, and there'd be nothing to say he can't. And it take a spot from somebody. So, and
How does that work with title buying? Because that doesn't,
that's a question that hasn't been answered.
okay.
So there's still, it's a proposal. I do think people should be aware. Maybe call your, well, it's in state ed, so you could call Betty Rosa, or you could call, yeah,
Dr.
and
Madison.
just
I
say,
can send an email.
yeah, you
I
can,
can forward it.
I was gonna say,
Send it to everybody.
Right.
I mean, that's, people need to know that that's,
that was my point for bringing up. People need to realize that it's there, because sometimes, again, I'm sure this was well intentioned from its inception. But if people aren't aware and people don't raise concerns, sometimes things go through that should, and then we're in there trying to correct. So
is there, and I guess this is mostly geared to Holly, is there an assessment that's more practical, realistic if the Tanner isn't the answer, but nothing also is the answer? I mean, are there,
We send a report, the medical report on to our physician, our school doctor. He meets with the student and said whether they're appropriate or not. They don't necessarily do the TNR at this point. So the doctor gives the okay, right, so that they're physically able to perform. And then they go through all the testing. We have to do the testing like that here. Physical fitness testing, like, is there something else out there?
right, we need to have good physicians who do their job with diligence and care and respect. I'll keep rolling. So the next one actually is kind of timely with today. There is a bill, I forget who authored it, that would mandate the schools take action. Now, exactly what those actions are haven't been hammered out yet. What I've heard from other superintendents that they're concerned with, the action could be as straightforward as if classroom temperatures got above a set degree, and maybe it's 80, maybe it's 85, that the students couldn't be in the room, which sounds really well intentioned. I know that the state PTA has written a letter in support of some kind of legislation like this. If it comes out that simple, a school like ours would have to close because we don't have enough air conditioned rooms to move all the students to. So why is that not necessarily a good thing? Well, like today, I knew it was going to be hot. The children come in and we can help mitigate the heat, teach them to deal with it. We keep the temperature cool. We give them plenty of water and hydration breaks. We can get them ice packs. We can do a lot of things. And the legislation seems to assume that if we leave them home, someone's going to they'll be better off. It works in a lot of Long Island districts. If you're in Roslyn, everybody has air conditioning and swimming pools. In poorer districts, not so much. A lot of districts, most of the ones in the Syracuse area, probably with the exception of the city school, I think every other one by now has air conditioning in every room because they have a bigger tax base with industrial contributors, and they've been able to do that. Small rural school districts like ours who haven't, this would be a big impact. And then if we have a heavy snow year and we have to close for weather-related snow events, and then we have to close in the springtime for heat events, where are we going to make up our days? I can schedule them in July and August, but who knows what the temperature? It's not a very well-meaning idea. And I want to support it, but we need to get more details and make sure it's not just one thing that got through because people weren't vocal. I think I have a really good solution is that we get some grant funding for all districts if we really care about kids to get air conditioning. That would be a more equitable solution, because just mandating that if it gets so hot, schools have to take care of the problem differently than we are already, it's gonna create, more discrepancy between the people who have and those who don't. Get my take on that one.
I know a couple of districts that went half days just this week. which is
Just-
pretty well.
And I can't express my feeling on it.
Yeah.
It's like what we do here, that we let parents down, would be an excuse absence. If you can keep your child home, that's a better place for them, we support you. But if it means a single, even a two family or two income home, they lose a day's wage that they can't afford. And the child's home, if it's a situation, well, okay, I already talked about the capital. The steering committee met, as we always do, we discussed, always looking to keep Candor teams and Spencer Van Etten teams, but preference to having no team is a merged team. So we offered two communities with one team, which is great, the Eagles. And in addition, we talked about helping, better communicating what we're doing and why with more of the community. And to that end, scheduling a community forum, for lack of a better word, we have a better title than that. What's that? Town hall meeting, yeah. So we might even come up with a better name and some flyers to go out. But we're
Everybody will go to the
gonna,
town
so
hall.
everyone knows what we're inviting them to, so we can hear the concerns, because I know there are always concerns. So we want to hear the concerns, but also make sure we're giving good information, also letting people know, well, here's what we can do to mitigate those concerns by working together. We're gonna hold it at the Cornell Cooperative Extension's Cat's Hill Farm, so it's not too far for either community. And I have confirmed with the director that we can do it August 12th. And because we're hoping for a big turnout of involved concerned citizens, we'll hold it in the horse arena, but we'll have it set up with chairs and tables and comfortable. So we join with our, most superintendents will be there, athletic departments and one principals. Well, I know our principal.
Is that combined with meet the coaches night or separate? Would it make sense to have them together? So people have to
Maybe,
be there?
maybe. Maybe.
Might make for a long night though too, right?
So
Yeah.
we did
I,
talk
we're
about that
just
a little
thinking
bit.
through what all it's gonna look like, so I think about that.
We did, obviously, we haven't hammered out all the details. I wanted to let you know it's coming in the day. We did talk about that a little bit. It's not, but some concern was brought up about the coaches needing their time. Just what you're saying, it's a long night. And if we deal with just the issues around merging or not merging, we can answer those questions. Some people might get a little passionate about it, and then to send them to the coaches to hear the rules, they might not hear it as well. But we didn't decide one way or the other, but it was something we thought about.
Was just gonna say that we're working on a survey that's gonna help drive the conversation that night, so. We get it done.
Yeah, maybe even a save the date or something out on the website sooner, because it is the middle
I
of
think
summer.
we're waiting for this meeting. And with Spencer, they're making some posters too.
Good stuff.
And then the last thing I had is we have a new district superintendent, which is great. It's Lily Talcott, before they.
Like 2 days ago.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Even though yesterday was.
It seems like a long time. The component school districts or the component school superintendents got to meet her for the first time right after the board had appointed her. I had met her before and had worked with her before. She's always impressed me as very bright and, more importantly, very caring about students' education. She is currently, until the end of July, is an administrator with the Ithaca City School District, where a good part of her career was. But when she met us all, She did a really nice job of communicating her passion for small rural school districts, like the one her children go to school and the ones she's experienced. And it was heartening for me. She clearly understands the issues of both the small city school and small rural schools. It's good. And I want to welcome her. Any questions?
I'll just say Lily is deeply respected in the Ithaca community because she has a strong equity focus and is very student-centered. And that passion for the rural school district comes with a connection from Enfield, which if anybody knows Enfield makes us look practically metropolitan. So, I mean, she really does mean it when she expresses that passion and caring for rural school districts, which I think is gonna be a great balance for our hostess.
Thank you. We're back to board, no, we're to board comment. So I have board retirements to talk about. I don't want to talk about. I know, I was thinking that too, but he's actually after. Right, unless you want. Do you want to go now, before the board
Well,
retirement?
You know, I don't want to take away part of what I was saying was for me too. But, so I don't want to take anything away. It's important. So I can go first and then.
I feel like you're gonna do a better job than me though.
You know.
Floor is yours, sir.
You have your thing written, so I don't wanna,
No, the floor is yours, go for it.
it'll be a segue,
There you go.
but I think, what Hannah says is right. If anybody has anything else that they want to say, maybe that would be a good time first. I don't know. Can you change the agenda like that? No problem.
We won't tell Robert.
Yeah. So I just have I actually came here with just two messages, but now it's three. So first is, I was actually prompted to remind myself of this. There's so many like thank yous to give out at the end of the year, and I think Brian really said that very well. For the PTA and PTSA, and so many other people involved with running a school, both working here and just affiliated with the school, or just volunteering, or in one way or another. And as a representative of the teachers, we always appreciate all the hard work that everybody does. Administrators, our colleagues, our associated colleagues, all the support staff. It's a wonderful time of year because everybody just feels thankful for all of that stuff. Second, what Kim was talking about for summer curriculum work, that's a big deal, I think, to recognize how many of the teachers here just really go forward with what it is that they want to do for the summer for next year. Just today, the middle school team was meeting, and we met because we just had a presentation about standards-based grading. And literally within a few hours, a couple of those teachers, even though this is not something we're going to implement for some time, we're going to study it next year. But within a few hours, those teachers are already talking about, hey, let's have a meeting so we can decide how we're going to approach this. And maybe there's something we can do ahead of time, either this summer or immediately in the fall, to help prepare ourselves for this, because it was one, interesting, and two, powerful, and three, very likely to be very effective. And those are the teachers that work here. And we had a meeting with Wayne just about that today. I mean, really, it's just something that as a teacher, it's just something I'm always reminded of week in and week out. And it's just good to share that. Sometimes it's just small things like that, but I think it's just helpful to share that. The next message is just about the vacancies and filling those vacancies. That's a lot of work to find good quality people to come to work here. It's been a very busy spring, filling those positions and continuing to fill those positions. And
if you don't work in a school, and I know some of you have, but if you don't work in a school, it's such an amazing time when you go through this. Just the activity of interviewing people, and I've been fortunate to sit on 2 interviews for 2 different positions. The dynamism that comes out of that discussion from people that want to come to work here or think they want to come to work here, and are us trying to find that match. It's fun, it's interesting, it is exciting, and there's a lot of it this year, and that's to be acknowledged, and I just think understood as a teacher. Bringing people, either new people into the profession, or bringing experienced people and their wisdom to our school. It just creates so much activity, creates so much thoughtfulness, so many challenges, and just sometimes just that kind of sharing of heart or sharing of an idea or sharing of an ideal with new people. It's a lot. It's a lot for any school to handle, and it's a lot for a small school like ours to handle. And I just think as members of the board, as board members, if you're not aware of that, and I think most of you are, but just please continue to be attuned to that, and maintain your awareness of that issue, because it's a lot of activity, it's a lot of energy that we all get to experience. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of energy that we all get to share. It's one of the reasons why I want to make sure we support our mentor teacher program. They're going to be very, very busy coming up this summer, and then again for the next couple of years, right? This isn't just couple of month process. It's not an introduction. It's not an orientation. It's time, effort, and thoughtfulness as we engage with our new colleagues. And I think finally, whenever it comes to a large number of people coming into our school, be attentive to why they stay. Be attentive, and I hope that most do. It's so wonderful that we have had a lot of people apply for some of these positions, and numbers that I haven't seen in quite some time. That's a real testament to our community. And so be aware of why they choose to stay. Some will leave, and be aware of why they leave, but also be aware of why the ones that choose to stay do that and commit themselves to working in this community, perhaps for the rest of their career, hopefully for the rest of their career. My role as the president of my association is to do my best to welcome those people, but I'm not the only one doing that, right? There's so many of us that are doing that. And I'll do my best, right, to trigger that and to make sure that it's working well for everybody, right? All of our administrators, all of our teachers, department chair people, and everyone else. And then finally, last thing is I did have something to say for Mr. Doan. He's not here tonight. Maybe he's watching, probably not, but I've spoken with Mr. Doan a few times, and I've always appreciated conversations with him. His years of service to the community through the school board, I think has been very helpful. Like I said, every time I've talked with him about education or about students or the transition of students from high school to something else, it's been a pleasurable conversation. Ray, you were here when I was hired a long time ago, and you were here for a long time before that. As a representative of the faculty, I think you already know that you have a lot of respect. You've earned a lot of respect from teachers over the years. From the very first time I met you up until today, it's been nothing but a real joy to talk with you, to see you. We've always appreciated seeing you in the building, even if your children or grandchildren aren't here. It's always nice to see you and to chat. I've always appreciated your attentiveness at school board meetings. You're always the one that's going to ask about a check or some payment or wherever it's going to go. And you know also that there's the hard things to think about too. And we've always appreciated your thoughtfulness about just education, not just the money, but the education part of this business. And everybody notices and knows that. And really, speaking for the faculty, I feel very confident saying that for all of us, we really will miss you, not at the expense of anybody else, but we will miss you. And we very much appreciated your service to us and to the whole community. Thank you.
Amen.
I should have just you, but if we're doing public comment, you have other stuff.
I always have questions, so do I do it now or after?
That's fine, because I think my ending is gonna be there's
Yes.
cake.
Okay.
So, might as well.
That's pretty great.
No, you're great.
I know the track project has started, which is awesome. Is there an expected finish date, like before school starts, or how, is there an expected?
The last I heard, they were hoping to maybe have one game on it this fall, but they weren't sure because schedule.
It's recommended that we don't.
Yeah, so, well, but, right. Depends who you're asking. So, from a landscape architect, the track will be done for the fall. The field won't be ready in that they have to change the drainage. So it's gonna get ripped up, then put back down, then seeded, then it's gonna look great. It's gonna look ready. But probably won't be because the roots haven't really grabbed. So if we play anything on it even once, we're starting over. And then one of our landscape architects is saying, don't even risk it. The other one's telling me, oh, it should be ready. If you get a good fall, a lot of rain. So I don't know. We're not gonna rip up the track. And we will be able to test and know for sure. Can we have a game or can we not?
I guess I wouldn't want to be sorry after it happens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna
You can
risk
do
it,
it, but
but I can't give up hope.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Right, well, so,
So the track itself,
but the track will be down, yeah. What's that?
the track itself wouldn't be used either, just the people are on the grass.
No, people could walk on the track. Yeah, the track should be right.
It would just be like soccer, football game, would not be
Yeah,
a
they
good.
can get out in the middle, it might look ready.
I just think we wait until they give us the all
Yeah.
clear.
Well,
Like, I don't think anybody should be out there until.
and I'm not gonna make that call, that comes from the athletic department, so whether we can or not, I still hope. I don't give anybody else false, just because I'm ridiculously out.
I was thinking about your movies, because you did movies out there, right? So that would be happening.
Yeah, and we were thinking about doing, like, we had it on our agenda for this year, to have some kind of a fun or color run. And we didn't know whether that would be, and we might wait until spring anyway, but we're just like, oh, when the track would be the grand opening, we're just floating ideas. I'm like, I want it.
You can put snow fence on the inside of the track, so nobody can touch the grass.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see.
A turkey
Yeah.
trot, lots of people do turkey trots.
So that might be better on the outside.
On your, the new path, yeah.
New-
Are there any updates on summer school? I know the last meeting would be kind of last minute thing. I didn't know if we had heard anything.
Summer school is a no-go.
Well, they were trying to do something at the last meeting at the church. And then they would.
So that would.
So that was, Pete wasn't here to provide his report, but New York State did not come through in a timely way, so
okay.
that's a no-go.
I know that was. And has there been any progress on, I know the before and after school, I think the current plan is to use the current thing, but there was some kind of thinking about trying to do something to be more affordable, but nothing's that.
I believe it's also status quo for next year, but if there's additional info.
There isn't, but we have been, since we started the program, we have not stopped looking to make it more affordable and find other options. We haven't found one yet that I can talk about and say, yes, this could be a go, but we won't stop looking. We're always looking to continuously improve our academics. We also do the same with our services that we provide or help provide for families, and that's one that we know needs attention.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
Question, I drove down
Yeah.
to take a look at the track. There's just piles of dirt and obviously the spot where the new track will go. It's still gonna be 8 lanes, is that what we're planning?
It's
the
right?
same.
It's the same. Six, we wanted to go to eight.
It's
So it's
six.
six.
I thought we were gonna make it bigger, but I just wonder how.
Yeah. So with the facilities committee, there was a lot of talk about, gee, could we make it bigger? Can we take this opportunity? And we looked at it, we wanted to, but then we have to move, we couldn't move the stadium on the creek side that far back, we'd be in the creek. And just the expense of moving those more than doubled the price. So it was kind of
Yeah, because I remember the
six-
conversation.
Yeah, we did
But
have
I
this
didn't know
conversation.
how we were gonna do it with the permanent fixtures that we had. You know, the creek and
That was,
the stadium.
right, it did, so you figured it out quickly?
Yeah.
We really studied it for months and then figured it out.
Because maybe you could make it longer and skinnier, but then you run into a football soccer issue.
Exactly, you can't, right, there's no practical way of.
Yeah, just too many constraints.
So it's
But it will be blue.
It will be blue, yeah.
Let's hold to that.
Oh, God.
So Brent isn't here, but this is maybe the most parenty thing because he's not here to hear people say nice things about him because he's at a banquet for his daughter, so people can say nice things about her. One of those parent trade-offs. So he's been on the board for around a dozen years, and in that time, he's been a huge advocate and a liaison for TC3 and the College Now program. So on behalf of the students who have taken classes and then kind of backing up a step, the students and all the people who support the students and would be the payers potentially for college, it's just been a huge win for our students and our families. And I think potentially even open the door for the next level of education. If they thought they couldn't afford associates, they can afford bachelors, or if they thought they could go for bachelors, go for masters. So it's been a huge win. And so just a really hearty thank you to Brent for what an advocate he's been for that program. And then I also want to say thank you for his steadfast support of our programs and having an eye towards really maximizing sports opportunities for Candor kids every step of the way. So thank him for his service, contribution, and enjoy BOE retirement. I think we have a plaque. We'll get that to him.
We'll get it. I'll just put it back in place. So, just so I can rehearse for the next. That one. Yes, plaque form.
Oh, cool. That's right.
No, sorry. Yeah, no. So there's the certificate, which a lot of people are familiar with. Thank you. There's Brian. And then the plaque as well.
Now,
That was a good warm up. Okay,
we're gonna keep him in the loop.
What's that?
How are we gonna keep him in the TC? We're gonna,
Oh, well, yeah. We'll keep them in.
Okay.
Absolutely, we will.
I love to his Lakers.
Well, we have that. I know, he's really close to one of the district employees, so I'm sure she'll help us twist an arm when we know.
Gotta use every advantage.
Exactly.
So Ray Parmenter has been an integral member of the Candor School District Board of Education for 37 years. With over half of that as president. Did I get that number right?
Yeah, I didn't realize it. On the write-up and on the newsletter.
With over half of that time as president or vice president. So as you can imagine, in that amount of time, he's seen the district celebrate a lot of highs, but also weather some significant challenges, supporting and advocating for the district through the deaths of students and teachers, floods and microbursts, a seismic event in education that we all went through navigating COVID, and multiple changes in district leadership. Despite these obstacles, Ray has soldiered on with his insight, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to prioritizing the well-being of our students and our staff. On a personal level, it was a huge asset when we were going through the superintendent search process to have the institutional knowledge and turn to Ray and say, what did this look like the last two times you did it? You know, they were 25 and 30 years ago, but you were there, and you can tell us how you can help us navigate that. And it was a huge asset. And you were there too. We're most appreciative. On behalf of the Candor school community, which it's a small town, so really that's the entire school and the entire community, I thank you for your exceptional dedication to this institution and for your leadership and the leadership you have fostered in the employees, the students, and the fellow BOE members. And then tying into sports a little bit, I couldn't help myself. I think you've set like a Lou Gehrig, Cal Ripken type bar here. So then I thought about that, and if a person, Jess, this is not a challenge. It was just a frame reference. And so if a person started on the board in 2024 to tie Ray, they would end their board service in 2061. And just think about all the educational change and all the world change that's going to happen between now and 2061. And that's what he's navigating through. So,
God, I feel old.
wise. We appreciate your many years of compassionate service. And now you can really, really retire, really? And you won't even have to pay attention to what day of the week it is and know whether it's a Thursday. You're free. Thank you.
That'll take some getting used to.
I've been waiting for him to retire from the board too.
Yes. It's really been a pleasure. I got to work with some super people over the years, and being married to a teacher, I have kind of an understanding of how teachers think, and if I don't have an understanding, I get one, even though she's retired. And it does give me an insight, because here on the board, quite often we don't have the opportunity to look at it from the side where the rubber really meets the road. And, you know, my wife has been a substantial part of my education in education, enough to know that I do not have what it takes, never did, to be a kindergarten teacher, let alone something else, because in her classroom, 20 plus 5-year-old kids are frightening. There's so many of them and they're so active. But it's been a good run. The board is in good hands, the district is in good hands, so I can leave with a clear conscience and know that things will keep going. We've got I like the mix on the board now. We've got different viewpoints, different backgrounds, different experiences. So that's what we need. Put it all into a little petri dish and come out with the best result for the district and the kids.
25 kindergartners.
Notice how those subliminal, subconscious connections are always in there.
So we have the certificate of recognition first, and you get the desk plaque. Thank you. But we have one more for you, Mr. Farmer. And this one we're not going to give you. We're just going to show it to you, and we're going to keep it because this one's going on the wall in the hallway of the new the new hallway for our auditorium. So that, I mean, you would be remembered for a very, very long time anyway, but we wanted to put some recognition of your service.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
So you can have it for a little.
And it's the picture where I had more hair. I appreciate that.
I guess now's the part where we have cake.
It was cake. Nobody said it was cake.
You have your cake and eat it too.
There you go.
Where's it going?
Yeah, you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
adjourn
Oh,
this,
we
and then
do.
we'll make the motion, then we'll slowly after Kate.
I
So
heard,
think-
I heard
And then
Nate say
maybe-
the word adjourn. I didn't hear it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, and after cake, we do need a. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yeah, sure.